Welcome to SEO conspiracy.com.
Oh, baby. She's a very good SEO, but she's got other talents, let me tell you.
Oh, I certainly do. One day, Laurent, one day.
And we are talking about engagement today. We are
Yeah,
talking about getting
kind of engagement.
engaging. So,
Mm,
so mixing. It's not about mixing body parts. The
not in
original.
the Frankenstein way either.
No, it's about SEO. It's about the easy. The original title, the discussion we had with Dixon was about our social signals, a ranking factor, and that's the way usually people present it as a SEO myth. I wanted to change the discussion to engagement because I think it's a little bit more modern, especially according to what's going on into the mobile and especially not this one because this is Apple, but what's going on with Android and Google Discover.
But don't forget that although Google is what we use mainly, Apple is bringing their own search engine to the fore. So the walled garden that is the iPhone is sending lots of signals to Apple for their own search engine. So that will be an interesting thing to watch.
No, it's a feature. Okay, they are so good. Because those companies, they don't want a slice of the cake. They
They
want
want,
everything. So
yeah,
the people who say, okay, Apple is gonna let go the 20 or 30 billions that Google is giving them every year to be the default search engine on Safari, they will keep the money.
yeah,
What they're doing is improving the features of Siri and Spotlight with their own search results. So they are not breaking the contract with Google, still taking Google money
of course.
and using their own search engine. But they've been working on it for 10 years. That's
No,
a
it's a
while.
complex thing. Google didn't come up with its search engine overnight, although it feels like it. I
Mm-mm.
remember what it was like, and it was quite different. So it did not happen overnight. So Apple's not going to be able to create a Google competitor overnight. I like DuckDuckGo. I love Yandex. Yandex is like the unloved middle child of the search.
DuckDuckGo is not calling. DuckDuckGo is not a search engine.
It's not a crawler. No, it does not have its own crawler. But Yandex does.
Mm.
So give Yandex
Um,
a try. Although search social signals or social engagement, not a ranking factor yet on Yandex.
you have Mojic in England, which is crawling. You have Quant in
Mhm.
France. What's funny about Mojic is like you guys don't even know it exists. Okay, you guys have a good search engine that crawls and index. It's legit. It just nobody knows about it. Quant. Well, there was a lot of I was in the middle of the quant conspiracy. You got Yandex, you got Baidu, you got Google, and maybe a couple of others, which are real search engine with a crawler, with data centers, with
Sort
algorithms. All
yeah.
the other ones are either
It
using API
it
or other ways to get the data. But regardless, the user doesn't care. The user sees the
they
SERP.
see and they see the wrapping. They don't see what's inside.
But now the talk is, and the myth is, at it, and even, and you started SEO in 1872 or 73, I forgot, around there. I came in early 2000s, so that's centuries after. But I remember this myth of if you click on your link, it will go up.
Oh gosh.
Um, and
Because yeah, I remember when that came in and why it came in.
the crazy part is it works in the maps, the Google Maps, the address block.
Well, that's running in a different way.
But very temporary. Like you need to keep on having people clicking if you want. But there's an impact. There's an impact. We did it during a keynote, and at the beginning we were like, there was maybe like 300 people. So let's say 200 came out with a smartphone. Say, okay, search for restaurant Villard de Lans. Click on the before last on the address block. Is that how you call it? The address block, or where all
just the results, just the map block.
Map, okay, the map block. Okay, and before, so it took what, 30 minutes or 40 minutes for the public talk.
It's not about the local pack. We're talking about the maps.
Yeah, and it moved up, and after we were done with dinner, it moved back down.
Because for a period of time, Google perceived that result for that search was much more relevant in that location.
Exactly.
And Google can do that. That's nothing. What Google isn't doing is if you tweet your post that you just posted on your blog, it's not counting that as a link. Even if your mom and all her friends click on it, it still doesn't count.
Let's put the record straight. Nothing, and I mean nothing, is stronger than a backlink.
Oh, yes.
In the entire
so hot
SEO arsenal.
Backlinks on a relevant topic page.
Out of all the assets we have at our disposal, nothing. And second will come internal links. But backlinks, you can pretend all the social bullshit you want. It will never, ever, ever come close to the power of a backlink.
Unless it's a really popular story on Reddit, in which case you might get media attention, but that's still not a backlink.
It's not a backlink. What it could do, and what I've seen, for example, back in the days when I was a lot more about clashing and trying to get into fights with SEOs with lower moral codes than appropriately, let's put it this way. And especially had like a Belgian SEO where we would get into this. I used to trust 7 out of 10 of his results, okay, on his name and his company name. So of course he fought back. Of course he tried to get rid of it. He was never able to derank me because of the social validation, meaning I had the backlinks, I had the page rank, I had the juice, and then also on top of it, I had what we could call the social validation because a lot of people agreed.
Entity relationship, but it's not a ranking factor, but it's an entity relationship factor.
Exactly.
So it's helping Google understand what the entity is. And if you're able to trick those signals, then that is actually something that in the future, I think is going to be a huge reputation management issue that will erupt or that will come from all of these things, is stealing someone's entity relationship and owning it. And that is going to be so potentially damaging for businesses.
I'm laughing because you can't rank... I shouldn't say that. You can't rank on the name of a brand, okay? The website of the brand will always rank first. The slogan, the baseline of the brands, piece of cake. We used to do that and there's a lot of traffic. A lot of people are searching the slogans of the brands, and they don't protect that. But
it's often an afterthought because they don't really think about their tagline.
Yeah, tagline. That's the word. Tagline. Yep. So you can easily outrank a brand on a tagline. But forget what I said. That's.
Well, we were talking about entity relationship.
We were talking about stealing each other's entities. or
Yeah.
mixing entities. We can manipulate.
You can manipulate the entity relationship or something. So you can generate a false entity relationship, as you've already spoken about with a garden store
The cucumber, remember?
site. Yeah.
You remember my I remember that you were going into some kind of, you were using like some boring example, like yoga or something. Like, I was like, hold on, I got something better for you. And
Well,
yes.
I have a board behind me that you can't see, and on the board are various different bits. There's a watch strap for my Fitbit, the receipt for my Samsonite luggage, a green and black's organic chocolate USB, various medals, some keychains. So, yeah, it's
I mean, if you want to play with whatever is in the background, I got my entire office full of.
Oh, that's not even in the background. That's what I can see in front of me. The things that are in my drawer. Wow, you should see the size of the dildo in my drawer. Actually, would you like to see the size of the dildo in my drawer?
Well, off the record, yeah. I'm trying to find.
Everybody watching is now like, yeah, see this thing.
I'm trying to find something
Beside my wrist.
that could amuse you, but no, I have to. Forget it. Next time, during the long form, don't forget that this is supposed to be short and about giving value to people, about debunking myth. So, what I believe we are at a turning point. We spoke about this before, and we said that most of the information out there is outdated when it comes to become visible in a device called a smartphone. First of all, because the search engine Google is not the king of the smartphone.
This is true.
You have 3 or 4 apps that you need to be visible in. And if your job is only about optimizing text that you host on web pages to rank on a search engine built in the 90s for the computer, you will lose. The game is in that device, and on Android devices, Google has a lot more leverage for. Let's not go into the privacy debate. Let's say that profiling is good. It's helpful. It makes more relevant information coming to you.
Yes.
Just a word on privacy. If you agree, okay, the problem is like you don't agree, you don't know. But let's pretend that you agreed, okay? Let's pretend that you didn't say no, or that you know didn't mean a yes. Because that's difficult with a girl. Sometimes like a no means a yes and a no means a no. Like how do you know?
Always with a girl, always fall on the side of a no being a no. And if you're respectful like that, then she'll be much braver the next time. So it's all about, shy and fear. But if you build up a girl's confidence in trusting you, even when a no is a yes, like she's saying no because she thinks she should, if you respect the no, she'll feel much more comfortable and confident in asking for it next time instead of you needing to.
Yeah, but the no is often about false, like, oh, but I'm married, I have a boyfriend, blah, blah.
You should still be respectful.
I'm not jealous. What do you mean? Like, I don't care if you're married or if you have a boyfriend. Like, what's the problem?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with me. I just want to get off.
I'm not jealous. Like, you can.
Social engagement.
No problem. No problem.
She's stepping up against you.
So that's the kind of no that when the eyes say yes and the mouth says no, because.
You still have to respect the no.
Yeah, of course.
Again, because it builds trust, and if you show the woman that she can trust you, then she'll be much wilder the next time. Because if she knows she can trust you, she knows that she can go as far as you'll let her push.
Yeah.
Isn't that much more fun? If she says no and you push, then she loses the confidence.
No, of course.
If she says no, respect it. The next time,
100%, 100%. The only problem is
That
users.
age gap between their eyes.
It's just difficult sometimes to understand what a lady says. Or between what's going on in your brain and what comes out of your mouth, we us men need to translate, and it's complicated. Okay, it's complicated. Like engagement, like social signals, like SEO.
Because I can fake all the social signals
Yeah.
I want.
Yeah.
I can fake an orgasm too. And the thing is, you
Same thing.
really don't know. And so that's why signals from social are not really heavily used by Google, because I can make it look real. Oh, baby, I can make it look real. You will not believe that it's 100% fake because it looks and feels so real, but it's fake. So if I can do that, anyone can. And Google can't trust that. So engagement on a phone, though, if they've got you and you're on your device, this is an Apple, but if you're an Android user, they can see what you're doing and don't think that they're not watching, because they are watching.
Apple is watching also for
Yep.
Apple stuff. They're all watching. And it's always known that who controls the hardware is the top of the pyramid. On top of the pyramid, you have the hardware, then you have the software, then you have the plugin extensions at the bottom, and so on. That's why Alexa.
Why? When they were banned from selling their phones, because the hardware was owned by a Chinese firm. And that way, there was no way that they could be sure they weren't simply routing that data via Chinese servers that were saving everything. That's why the US government blocked the sale of the handset or something. They just the share that I feel for the company, but at the same time, they didn't engender trust. So if you own the hardware, you can see everything. The same thing why hackers take over your computer. I mean,
so what do okay statement backlink nothing. If you imagine that buying on Fiverr some clicks and stuff will equal the power of a backlink, you will lose. It won't work.
Yeah, very much.
But now
money to me, because you'll do better with it.
It's just, in my opinion, part of the mix to stir the pot. You know, you show that there is something happening around the content.
Yes.
It doesn't matter about if it's likes, if it's coming from AdWords or Groupon or WhatsApp. I don't care. Again, I'm talking about the mobile and Google discover the signals. In my opinion, that type of signal, the engagement signal, the click, will count. I'm not gonna say it's 20% less than a backlink and shit like that. I didn't study 1 million URLs to do a study, but I believe that engagement will count a lot more for this type of device than on the computer and the browser. Now, the question is, the myth at the basics of this thing is going back to if I get clicks, I'll rank higher. Even now today, because I see people selling that kind of stuff.
Yeah, SERP clicks and things like that. But don't forget that I and you probably, we both use incognito browsers from like a Firefox install on our handsets. How many people are really doing that?
I use Brave browser.
Just you and I.
I don't know if you. I like Brave as a browser, but the problem
key is we're not normal. And so it's easy to look at engagement signals, because 95% of the people who are using an Android handset are giving away user signals all the time. And so they're showing engagement.
have a URL to give you, but I'm not going to be able to find it quickly.
Oh.
It's your profiling by Google for ads.
Oh, yes, I've seen that, yeah.
You've
It
seen
is
it?
so good, yeah. I
It's
think it's so
crazy.
important for people to look at that and realize how much Google knows about you. Now, granted, I'm not that young, and I'm female, but Google knows a lot about you and your likes and your needs and your desires, and it's why I'm constantly swapping devices, connection types, browsers, and I make sure I'm not logged in. Even incognito, I make sure I'm not logged in out of incognito to make sure that I'm hiding as much as possible.
So when I
Sorry.
recorded the news, it was on this computer, which Google knows nothing. So Google only could figure out that I was a male between 45 and 55, and that's it.
Watching
Male,
Friends 24 in French.
male, and age. Then I go on my other computer, and I think it was 180 more entry points, plus all the stuff that he threw away. So sorry guys, I can't. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to. I know I spoke about it in the news, but I don't know when. So I'll try to put it in the description somewhere. But yeah, look up. You have two things you can look up: the Google / checkout something where they record every single transaction you made with your Gmail account, and also this URL where you have all your interest points,
Yeah.
all how they put you into a bucket, because that's also something that people need to understand. It's not about personalizing to you. It's about how they can put you into some buckets. Okay?
Yes, exactly.
That's very important. It's not, you are not personalized. They take you and they put you into
Yep.
into
And yeah, you're not an individual. You're just part of a group.
you're an IP, you're part of a group, you're part of a bucket, you're a cluster, silo, whatever you want to call it.
You have a whole bunch of lookalike audiences because you look like someone else. You are not unique.
Well, I look like Brad Pitt or something. What do you think? the the big issue here is, and we have trouble not going into this debate about privacy, which we will cover in a podcast for sure, because it's a big debate, and I was engaged with Quant for a very long time to defend privacy. There's a lot to say. Just one quick little thing. It would be so easy to respect everybody's privacy. The technology exists. It's called Ghost or Shadow. And what it does is everything private stays on the device, doesn't go up to the cloud. Well, it's respecting your privacy, but then what's the point?
Yeah, if you lose it, it's gone. And don't forget, every picture you take has location information that they're understandable by machine learning.
That stays on the device.
You're engaging with it can see, yeah, but Google, like in general, talking about engagement, we can see what people are engaging with. Google can see that you're watching puppy videos more than kitten videos. It can see what you are engaging with. So these are signals, and they do use it. They're using it, so to speak, for good, not evil. But yeah, Google can see these, and they can see these signals, and they use them. They're using them to personalize. They're using them to enhance your experience, but they're still seeing them, and you need to be aware.
You need to be aware because
all that you've been watching, Google knows what your kinks are.
The only problem I see right here, right now, is the only thing that people see is, oh my God, I search for women's shoes and now I see ads for women's shoes. That's retargeting. Yeah. That's 101. Okay,
That's old
that's
fashioned kids.
kindergarten shit. That's really like the easiest thing you can do in on that type of targeting.
Yes.
Now,
Or
the
people who say, "I was just talking with my friends about this product, and lo and behold, I get served an ad." And I'm like, "That's because you're not unique. You're part of a lookalike audience. You just never noticed it before. And now that you're ambiently aware of the product, all of the sudden you've noticed the ad." It's not rocket science, it's lookalike audiences.
sometimes even if you're an experienced professional, okay, I watched on Netflix a documentary about this serial killer called the Night Stalker
Mm.
Ramirez, pretty crazy guy. And I watched the documentary on Netflix, which was on Apple TV, but there's the YouTube app. Then I turn on YouTube, and the first thing that YouTube shows me is a documentary about that guy.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're like, ah, but I don't know. I don't know. Anyways,
Well, Sybil that runs, YouTube is what's being utilized in other areas. Sibyl's very smart. So the DoubleClick guys are using Sybil because Sybil, which is the product that recommends stuff on YouTube, is a really smart bit
mm,
of machine learning. And so that's why so many PPC accounts are now automated. Sybil knows better than the rest of
mm,
us.
mm, mm, Larry Page said that today they can serve ads way better targeted than organic search. The problem is that the material they have, the ads,
Mm.
it's
Oh,
pretty.
people, go back to ad school, or at least
Yes.
go to ad school. Like, learn the fundamentals of advertising, you
And
know?
then smoke some weed, take some LSD, become creative a little bit. I don't know.
And ponder the fact that the medium is the message.
Oh, wow. I had a big fight about that with actually the guy from Quant. The medium is the message versus you are the message. The medium is the message is a concept that comes from the 50s
Yes,
where
TV.
you need to micro. And then I know the guy is a pig, but it doesn't mean he wasn't very smart.
Mm,
Roger Ailes, founder of Fox News, wrote that
ah,
book, You Are the Message. In opposition to the book, The Medium is a Message. So, regardless of who Roger Ailes was, you can't deny he was a really smart guy about communication and how he crafted this. So you need both. Medium is the
mm,
message. You are the message. You need to micro adjust for the medium,
yeah.
but you are the idea. You are the message also.
Ultimately, yeah, the individual is now, although, but think about what we've just spoken about, engagement, social engagement. The individual, while individual to themselves, is not an individual. As you said, we are in buckets.
Yeah.
We're all a member of a lookalike audience. So we're not actually individual. We are just part of one bucket. And if that bucket engages with particular kind of content, it doesn't matter if you who are in that bucket don't. If 90% are, Google's going to, if it can see it, use that as a signal because it's going to enable it to better personalize stuff to that group, to that cohort.
Today is even more complicated, but back in the days, you were just an IP, basically. Uh, and whatever it was in 2005 or 6 that I heard from Googlers, the concept of the smell of the user.
Mhm.
And I coined that phrase, the person rank, meaning they put
With hints of rose.
they put a page rank on you, and it's been a quest until today. They haven't figured out how to value an author, how to really identify authority and all that stuff. So it's pretty much in the making. Because let's finish on that. You wrote a blog post about Tibet. Okay.
I did.
No, let's suppose you wrote a blog post about
Okay.
Tibet. What do you prefer? 2,000 comments from random people or one comment from the Dalai Lama?
Oh, I could PR the one comment from the Dalai Lama, so that I'd go for that.
Well, I'll say it depends.
But I could PR that.
If
So
you are, if from the search engine perspective, if you're able to identify the authority and the level of authority of the Dalai Lama, then yeah,
yeah,
pick
because the
the
Dalai Lama is an entity, and if the
yeah.
relationship between the Dalai Lama entity and your blog or your post is made, then suddenly your post becomes relevant to the entity, the Dalai Lama. So yeah, and you could like PR the hell out of that. So I'd prefer that any day because the engagement on
because
that one,
because you're human. But if you were Google, I'm saying yeah, if you're able to identify the value of that guy, for sure.
yeah,
But
if you're able to
otherwise,
establish the entity identity, the entity identity.
the entity identity. Well, that will be another talk for another day. The fact that we moved on from keywords to entities and so on to SEO
And
2010 versus SEO 2020. We have to move on to the next one, but we didn't prepare.
I was going to say, I think we're keeping that one a secret, aren't we?
Yeah, we're supposed to say what. Anyway, just come back for the introduction. It's worth it. There will be cleavage, I promise.
I'm going to have to wear this again, aren't I?
You will be wearing. No, you might have to change because we're not recording anymore today. So you can show cleavage with something else.
I'll buy another one. There's a blue one I was looking at that's quite fetching.
You can. So yeah, between for next week will be washed and changed and clean and everything.
I got a new sexy corset. I'll wear that.
You
Leather.
show me pictures. Yeah, it's
It's the one with the lacing down the front.
Yes. It's fully laced and it covers everything.
It does. It fully covers. It covers more than this.
This is gonna end badly. We're gonna go from YouTube to YouPorn very soon.
From YouTube to RedTube. Except that it's not completely explicit, so RedTube would like bury it.
Yes, for sure. The people banned from. No, where do they go? All those people banned from YouTube. It's not on RedTube. They go somewhere else. I forgot that.
Well, yeah, there's so many porn sites out there.
No, it's not a porn site. It's a video hosting site that's.
Oh, not like Vimeo type thing.
No. It's DLive or forgot whatever. It's for the banned YouTube people who need a little more freedom. Anyways, engagement is a trap. Be careful. There's some truth. It's more about agitate around the content. Do the PR, do the outreach, do the promotion, do what you have to do to get people to engage. Not social signals, not likes, not RTs, not all that crap, not tweets. Engagement. You need to stir. Like your grandma when she stirs the soup. That's what you need to do around your content.
What you're doing and actually do stuff.
And that will work. So, no topic for next time, but cleavage. So come back next Monday. Thank you, Judith.
Thank you, Laurent.
Goodbye, everybody.